Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into some absolutely profound insights from DeepMind co-founder Shane Legg. We're looking at how artificial general intelligence, or AGI, is gearing up to structurally transform our global economies and, honestly, the very nature of human labor itself. We're standing right on the bend of an exponential curve here, guys. The shift from human labor to machine-led productivity, it's no longer just some distant thought experiment. So let's explore what actually happens when human intelligence gets totally dwarfed by superintelligence, and exactly how we're going to need to structure this entirely new world.
To really wrap our heads around this massive shift, we're going to follow a pretty clear roadmap. First, defining the AGI threshold. Second, System 2 safety. Third, the cognitive industrial revolution. Fourth, managing workforce transitions. And finally, redefining wealth and work.
Okay, Section 1. Defining the AGI threshold. Basically, what are we actually building? Shane Legg defines minimal AGI as an artificial agent that can, at the very least, do the kinds of cognitive tasks that humans typically do. Think about that for a second. It means the system no longer fails in weird, surprising ways at standard mental tasks, whether that's continual learning or complex visual reasoning. But, it doesn't just stop there. Once we cross that threshold, we rapidly approach artificial superintelligence, or ASI, which scales way, way beyond our biological limits.
Just think about the raw physical numbers here. Sure, the human brain is an absolute biological marvel. It runs on just about 20 watts of power, sends signals at a frequency of 100 hertz, and those signals travel at roughly 30 meters per second. But compare that to a superintelligent data center. We're talking 200 megawatts, processing at 10 billion hertz, and sending signals literally at the speed of light, 300,000 kilometers per second. That is 6 to 8 orders of magnitude faster in every single dimension. So it becomes glaringly obvious pretty fast that human biology is absolutely not the upper limit of computation.
Right, let's move into Section 2, System 2 safety, and how we handle ethical reasoning.
Drawing on the famous psychology framework by Daniel Kahneman, we humans frequently rely on System 1 thinking. That's your fast, instinctive gut reaction. Like when someone cuts you off in traffic and you feel that sudden, immediate rush of anger. But true ethical decision-making, that requires System 2 thinking. That means slowing down, taking a breath, reasoning through the complexities, and carefully calculating consequences. The absolutely crucial point here is that we have to move beyond human System 1 instinctive reactions and build AGI with rigorous System 2 safety. We essentially need to treat ethics as a highly reliable, concrete reasoning problem rather than just a gut feeling.
Legg actually refers to this as chain of thought monitoring. If we strictly enforce this three-step process, first, analyzing the nuances of a situation, second, predicting the actual consequences of actions, and third, consistently applying moral norms, we can essentially peer inside the AI's mind. It's almost like having a clear ethical audit trail to check its math. By enforcing this calculated chain of thought, we can theoretically create an AGI that applies moral decisions far more consistently and reliably than we humans do. It completely turns ethics from an unpredictable emotional response into an advanced logic-based reasoning protocol.
Moving on to Section 3, the cognitive industrial revolution and our new macroeconomic realities. This idea right here perfectly captures the massive shift we're undergoing. We are moving away from a historical paradigm of replacing human physical exertion right into an imminent reality of machine-led cognitive productivity. Think about it. During the Industrial Revolution, we harnessed steam and electricity to lift heavy things, which completely flipped the physical labor market on its head. Today we are harnessing data and algorithms to do the heavy lifting of the mind. It is a massive structural change, and it's going to touch quite literally every corner of human existence.
And listen, this isn't some far-off sci-fi concept. Just think about the year 2028. Shane Legg has maintained for over a decade that there's a 50-50 chance we hit the minimal AGI threshold by 2028. That is not some distant future, that's literally your next 5-year plan. What this means is that the timeline to adapt, for us as individuals, for businesses, and for entire governments, is incredibly tight.
Which brings us right to Section 4, managing workforce transitions and the disruption of labor.
The historical expectation has entirely flipped here, which is fascinating. We always assumed physical labor would be the first thing to get automated, right? But instead, highly compensated, elite cognitive work done remotely, things like software engineering, complex finance, and corporate law, is actually right in the crosshairs. Essentially, if your entire job happens through a laptop screen, AGI can probably do it faster and a whole lot cheaper.
Meanwhile, your local plumber is highly protected. It turns out fixing a physical pipe is way harder for an AI than passing the bar exam. And interestingly enough, personality-driven roles like influencers, where actual human connection is the core product, they also remain uniquely protected, at least for now.
Let's look at a really concrete example of this. In the near future, an engineering team that previously needed, say, 100 software engineers might only need 20. And those 20 human engineers, they won't be writing all the code from scratch. Instead, they'll be heavily utilizing advanced AGI productivity tools, which will dramatically increase their individual output. So, if you're an executive, how do you manage a transition where you suddenly need 80% fewer entry-level cognitive workers? It's going to require a stark optimization of how teams are fundamentally built from the ground up.
Okay, let's dive into our final section. Section 5, redefining wealth and work, and looking at an entirely new societal structure.
Legg recently spoke to the vice chancellors of the Russell Group. These are the top universities over in the UK, and he gave them a pretty stark warning. He stressed that academic and political leaders across all disciplines need to urgently analyze how their fields function when cheap, highly capable machine intelligence is universally abundant. He basically told them that every single faculty, from law to medicine to urban planning, studies something where human intelligence is currently the main bottleneck. When that bottleneck completely disappears, well, the very foundations of those fields have to be rethought from the ground up.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Right now, people trade their mental and physical labor for access to resources. But when AGI truly arrives, the total economic pie is going to get massively larger. We're talking about an unprecedented abundance of goods, services, and scientific breakthroughs. The catch? The traditional mechanism for distributing all that wealth is going to be completely broken. So as the economic pie gets massively larger through machine labor, how are we going to boldly redefine the value of human work and ensure that prosperity is actually shared in our post-AGI future? It's a profound question, and honestly one that requires immediate attention from all of us. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope it gave you some vital perspective on the cognitive revolution that's just over the horizon.